Hello, brothers and sisters. Happy Palm Sunday. Welcome to our show titled Speak of Africa. You know what Palm Sunday is? Jesus' triumphant march into Jerusalem, right? We remember all of that. But for the show of today, we're going to take you to the news. What the news is about. The news is about this new scramble for Africa. The scramble for Africa is not really like a war where people are fighting with guns, but you can see guns in the process. The superpowers are fighting. Russia versus the United States, they are fighting. Now you have what they call the Iran war. The Iran war is really a proxy war. The United States is against Russia. Russia is supporting Iran. The United States is attacking a proxy of Russia's. So Iran is facing American might. That's basically the exposition of the story of today. We'll talk about the Iran war previously on this show, but most of you are telling us to go in and really look at the impact, the way Iranian influence is on Africa. We spent a lot of time talking about the way the war was affecting Africans, higher oil prices, but most of you are saying we should zero in on the way Iran is having an important influence in Africa. And this influence is political, economic, and social. So we're going to start now with the exposition, because we like to follow Freytag's pyramid, so that we tell you the story of the show of today in a very systematic fashion. Now, let's go to the exposition. We're going to give you background information to understand this war. The war taking place in Iran is affecting Africa. Some of you may know this. It is affecting Africa directly. How is it affecting Africa? Oil prices will tell you this. Already, diplomatic relations. But Iran has had an impact on Africa for a long time. Africa has relations with Iran, political relations, social relations, and economic relations. Okay? Iran has opened more than 30 embassies in Africa. So you can see that. While sanctions were set and Iran was undergoing this regime of sanctions, how did Iran escape most of these sanctions? A lot of the African countries helped Iran circumvent these U.S. Sanctions. If you do not know, let us tell you now. That's what is happening. America, Africa helped Iran to provide a cushion so that Iran did not feel the full impact of those Western sanctions. You have to understand, Iran is anti-colonial forces. Iran does not like the U.S. because the U.S. has become like a colonial power. Iran resents this, and Iran has been rising. Iran is also aligned with Russia, as we told you. So you can see now that this war is not just Iran's war, it's also Russia's war. In the United States of America, most of you don't even know what is happening. When you listen to foreign news, that's when you get a better perspective on what is happening in Iran and Israel. You think that the United States is crushing Iran and nothing is happening? That's not true. The propaganda in the United States is not working because people are getting to see the reality. President Donald Trump will tell you, oh no, Iran is going to come to its knees. We've crushed 90% of their missiles. Everything is destroyed. That's a lie. Iran still possesses over 80% of its nuclear capability, 80% of its missiles, which is why you can see that Iran is still bombing Israel as we speak. Iran is bombing. Even in Jerusalem, we saw a picture. The police in Israel do not want Catholic priests to offer their mass on Palm Sunday. So this is a big regret. Why? Because Israel has to contend. The Iron Dome has fallen. Before, the American propaganda was that the Iron Dome is going to keep Israel safe. So Israel can go and bomb Iran and stay behind in safety. Hello, it has not happened. Iran is bombing Israel day and night, and the Jewish people are facing the brunt of this war. Never did they think bombs would be falling in their cities, in their homes. They thought they would be isolated. Bombs would be falling far away. The madding crowd is far away from Israel. The Jews which people are not going to feel the impact. The Arabs will feel the impact. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, thought. He was really mistaken. Similarly, President Donald Trump of the United States of America has also been mistaken. They started this war thinking that they're going to crush Iran. In 2 days, Iran will submit, and Iran will come back to the table and accept their stringent, draconian terms, which is basically total surrender. But Iran is a country full of pride. They decided that they will not follow that path. Even though the USA killed their leader, Mr. Khomeini, it didn't take long. His son took over, and Iran has been bombing Israel and US assets in the region. If you do not know this, we can show you a whole lot of videos of Iran. Iran even bombed some B-52 planes, but America said it's a lie. I was on a Russian channel, and some guys from Pakistan sent me some videos and news articles. I read them. I saw the way Iran downed a big military plane from the United States. But the United States does not want to accept. That's what is happening. So now you get the backdrop of what is happening in this war. Iran is really doing a lot. Iran's plan is simple. Survive. We just want to survive. We don't want to win. We want to survive. If we survive, it means we've won. If we do not surrender our sovereignty to the United States and Israel, it means we've won the war. In the US, casualties are mounting. In fact, the US is threatening to send ground forces to the Strait of Hormuz. A few weeks ago, we showed you the geography of that region. Because of this war, trade has to really be diverted. Say from Rotterdam, instead of coming down the Suez Canal with products, they have to go down straight to the Cape of Good Hope around the south of Africa. Then they come up. That's how they are sending goods around, because Iran has blocked the Strait of Hormuz. Now, anybody who wants to ply through this channel has to comply with the demands of Iran. So you can see the major impact Iran is having in the world today. So things are not really going well for the United States, contrary to what they are telling you. Things are not going well. So now we present the exposition. The rising action. People are really divided. When you look at what is happening, Africans are divided. Africans have learned a lesson since the days of the Cold War. Are you going to support the United States, the West, or are you going to support Russia or the Soviet Union? They learned that you have to play both masters. You have to say, we are non-aligned. We are non-aligned countries. We are not supporting either party. We are in the middle. We're seeking neutrality. That's the official message Africans are telling you. The African Union is singing the songs of neutrality. We are not supporting America. We are not supporting Iran. But the truth about it is, you still have big divisions because of this war. Those countries in Africa, like Kenya, that are colonial puppets, they are supporting the United States and Israel. By contrast, some of those countries that are Islamic based, like Nigeria, the Sahel states especially, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, those countries are openly supporting Iran because Iran is doing a lot in their countries. Iran is helping them. They are trading with Iran. In fact, that's how Iran was able to bypass the Western sanctions imposed on them. The sanctions were draconian, but Iran survived it thanks to the help of some of these African friends. So Iran has really used African friends to cushion the weight of these Western sanctions. Then now we are getting to a climax. The climax is what? It's a split decision. The people are taking sides. So let Israel and America deal with it. Okay? America and Israel should deal with the aftermath of this war. Africans don't want to be part of it. So they're just playing games. Yes, because America gives them military aid, they play games as if they're with America. For example, you take a country like DRC Congo. This week, we understand that the M23 has been having some troop rotation movements. People are asking, why are they moving troops around? Are they withdrawing? What's happening? Even the government in Kinshasa is not really answering the question. So we still do not know what is really happening with these troop movements concerning the M23. Are they retreating from their positions? What are they really doing? So the average person is asking so many questions. They want to know what is happening on the ground. But the game goes on. You see, Moise Katumbi, an opposition candidate, was also complaining about the constitutional reform that is taking place. Felix Tshisekedi wants to change the constitution so he can stay in power longer, but he's telling people, oh, there are reasons why he wants to change the constitution. That's just an excuse. Already he has sold his country to the United States. Trump now controls all those mineral resources in Congo. Unfortunately, Africa is for sale. That's the lesson we learn. Africa is still for sale even in the 21st century because you have knuckleheads like Felix Tshisekedi. It's really sad, but this is what we're dealing with. When are we going to have leaders who are nationalistic, patriotic? Felix Tshisekedi just wants to stay in power. So he can sell his country if he can just stay in power, which is what we're seeing now in Congo. Then in the other Congo, Congo-Brazzaville, Denis Sassou Nguesso just proclaimed that he won the election by more than 95% of the vote. What a farce. The opposition has been crying foul every time there's a new election, but nothing happens because this former paratrooper controls the machinery of government. He designs the policies, he controls the guys who implement this policy, and he gives them benefits. So he has all of them in his pocket. So how can we have change? Change will never happen because the big guy controls everything. But one day, change will come to Congo-Brazzaville. Let's just watch. Then what about the following action? The following action now, basically, Africa is using leverage. When we talk about following action in the free tax pyramid, Africa is using its leverage. Africa is balancing things. What is good for us Africans? Should we get involved in this war, which is not ours? No, we should not get involved in it. It's the same way that the Europeans are behaving. So Africa can pick up ideas from the European Union. They don't want to be dragged into Israel's war. Israel has dragged the United States into this war. The Europeans do not want to be dragged into the war. Similarly, African leaders are saying, no, we also do not want to be dragged into this war. Let America and Israel fight their war. Trump has been drawn into this war because he wants to satisfy his paymasters, who are the Jews. It's very, very sad, but this is what is happening. So when we look at it, why is America fighting this war? A lot of Americans of good conscience are protesting the war because they know that this war is not in the interest of the United States. If this war were in the national interest, a lot of people will be supporting it, but the support for this war is waning. Things are going to get worse if America decides now to send ground troops to the Strait of Hormuz. That's when hell is going to break loose. We have a lot of maps which we're going to show you as you are watching. These maps show you the way the terrain is really treacherous. Troops are going to die in big numbers if America sends ground troops to the Strait of Hormuz. When you look at the positioning, the place is really a very tight strait. It's not very big. So if Trump thinks that he can use force to dislodge the Iranians from that territory, he's smoking something. It's not going to happen because a lot of Americans are going to get killed. So if you are an American who is going to fight in this part of the world, think very, very well. You may not come back, or you may only come back in body bags, which is what is happening already. But we foresee that some people may be wise enough to caution President Donald Trump to relent. He wants to send ground troops to this region, but it's going to probably be the end of his presidency because sending ground troops to the Strait of Hormuz is a very, very bad decision. Even most of the military brass, the top military brass in the United States, they are cautioning Mr. Trump not to execute the order to send ground troops to the Strait of Hormuz. A lot of Americans are going to die. Maybe Mr. Trump doesn't care about the death of ordinary Americans. Because when you look at the army in most countries, even in the United States, most of the guys who suffered in war are guys from poor families. Rich families do not really send their children there to die. So the people who send their families to go and die are the poor people, because they really need money to survive, so they join the army, they do everything possible. So they are the ones who are sent to the war front. They are not part of the officer class. They are the rank and file soldiers. So they bear the brunt of the fighting and the suffering. The top brass can sit in air-conditioned offices, watch maps, direct action on the ground, but the guys who really feel the pinch are those guys who are the GI Joe. They're the ones who are really feeling the pinch. Then, of course, how is this war going to end? Well, we have different takes on the way this war is going to end. If you were left for Benjamin Netanyahu, this war is not going to end, because Benjamin Netanyahu is a warmonger. This war is not going to end. He will want the war to continue. The more Israel stays on this path fighting Iran, Benjamin Netanyahu will stay in power. Even in Israel, you can see that support for this war is waning, and waning. The people are seeing the mass destruction that this war has brought into their lives. They were living happily. Unfortunately, Netanyahu has dragged them into this war. So it's not a good thing. For the first time, Israel is really feeling the psychology and the impact of a lot of big bombs. Boom, 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 every day. So what's going to happen? Another scenario is Iran would back down and accept the stringent conditions imposed by the United States. Is this going to happen? Some people are thinking that if a hardliner is not in the leadership in Iran, this will happen. But so far from what we can see, Iran has already suffered a lot of losses, and they don't think they may want to turn back the clock to where they were before. They will prefer to keep fighting, because as far as the Iranians are concerned, the longer the war is prolonged, the better for them, because at least a prolongation of this war means America would squander a lot of resources. They will get to a point where they don't have any more missiles to fire on Iran. Then Iran will win. That's Iran's calculation. That's Iran's calculation. And when you look at the long odds, when you are fighting a guerrilla war, you know that your enemy has more traditional power. You don't. So you try to be strategic. In this context, Iran is trying to be strategic. They're trying to wear America out. They want America to squander all its arms. When they don't have any more missiles to fire, then Iran will wake up. But already Iran is hitting most of those neighboring states. A lot of those Gulf states that are supporting the US are paying a heavy price. Next, we're just worried about those proxies who are in Africa. A place like Djibouti, we are really sorry, but bad things can happen to Djibouti the way we're seeing things. Because if we're not careful, a lot of bad things will happen in Djibouti. So from what you've seen, there is a talk of war going on. Some people are supporting the United States and Israel on the one hand. On the other hand, you have Africans who are supporting Iran. So Iran has made a serious inroad in a lot of African countries. Iran has built a lot of mosques, especially in Shia Muslim communities. So Islam is a religion that is popular in a lot of northern areas in Africa. Take, for example, Burkina Faso. It's dominantly a Muslim country. Iran has influence there. What about Mali? Iran has influence in Mali. Some countries, even like South Africa, which may not be Muslim countries, are pro-Russia, so they are supporting Iran. So these are some of the dynamics we have to take into consideration. They have a vested interest to support the person who is supporting their master. South Africa is part of the BRICS. South Africa always supports Russia and China. So we're seeing the way things are going, which is why you're seeing high gas prices, inflation rising in a lot of African economies. Is this going to be long-lasting? No. We are simply asking our African leaders. We are happy that some of you are thinking in strategical terms. You are not carrying favor, supporting your colonial master blindly. You are thinking about your interests. In fact, most of these African leaders, they are worried about survival, self-perpetuation, self-preservation. But how is this going to happen? What lessons can Africans learn Well, you learn that the world is still a jungle. There's no such thing as a civilized world. America is a big country, but America is brutish. If you don't support their policy, they can go to war and kill you. So you ask yourself, the world now is survival of the fittest. Whoever has the might rules the world. That's the message America is saying. So international law means nothing. The absurdity of international law has been made apparent because of the actions of the United States. The United States breaks international law. Is that okay? What we have to say that it's not okay. So tomorrow, when they talk about international law, propaganda from the U.S. saying that, oh, this guy is breaking the law, but the U.S. is breaking the law too. So that's the sad part in what the U.S. is doing. We are happy you've come to the end of this video, and we say thank you very much for watching us. Share this video with your friends. If you like the kind of coverage you are getting now, please share the video with your friends. Subscribe, subscribe, and subscribe. May God bless you. Thank you.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.